Been interviewed with Miss Fanilla Cobb. Miss Cobb, what year were you born?
I was born 1910, November 11th.
Okay. What year did you start school?
I began school in 1915 at age 5.
Okay, so you
School opened in October, and I was 6 in November.
Okay, so you weren't early, like some people may think.
No, at 5. That's right.
Okay. What do you remember about your teachers back then? How were they qualified? Do you remember what they had to go through to become teachers?
Well, nothing like what you have to go through now. I doubt if any of them had gone to college. I know they didn't go to 4-year term college. They may have gone to and most of them grew up there in my little hometown of Ozan. My first teacher was Miss Minnie Ruth Wiley. She was a great aunt of Dr. Love, who was my family doctor now.
Oh, okay.
And her family was kind of what we call the upper class at that time. Her father owned his own home, white 2-story building right down in Wallen Grove Woods and along the creeks and everything. His own sawmill, his own little general store that served the school of Wallen Grove. And they were teachers then were they didn't have the education and the knowledge that teachers nowadays have, but they were more firmer, they were more stricter with children, the students, than teachers are today. Because we didn't have any delinquent students, we didn't have any students that, we didn't know then what the boys industrial school was, the girls training school, we knew very little about the penitentiary. All my days there at home, I could count the people that I know that went from there to the penitentiary on one hand and not use my thumb and little finger. Because we just didn't have time for that kind of dealing. And if the teacher then told you yes, she meant yes. If she told you no, she meant no. She or he. We had both, men and women.
But how many, what was the ratio from men to women? How many, were men very common?
As teachers, we had more men, had more women, more lady teachers than we did men. We had more. I had one in that school, my first school, which where I went for about 2 years before I changed locations and changed another. I had one teacher, Professor David Jackson. And then after I was, I guess maybe 9 years old, we relocated and I went to Evergreen School. And we had women over there. We had one by the name of Mrs. Maddie Patterson. And she was a good teacher. But we had more women we did men, because those 2 men, I just had 2 men teachers of all my boarding school there, Professor Jackson and Professor Draper. The rest were ladies. What subjects were you taught back then? Oh, reading, writing, spelling, arithmetic, geography. In the latter years, history and English.
What kind of history were you taught? Was it just Arkansas history or American history?
Yeah, Arkansas history. I wish I had mine today. I just wish I had known to take care of my book and had that book today, because it certainly was a good book. Arkansas history.
Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, in geography, I did love geography.
What was the geography consist of? World geography?
World geography. Sure did. Yes, sure did.
Okay. Let's see. What were some of the costs and expenses of going to school? Did you have, I know you had to buy supplies and stuff. Did you have to buy your books?
We bought the books. Books were very cheap. I don't remember now, just right now, just what the price of any of the books, but they were cheap. Because at that time it was expensive, because lots of times we didn't have money right off to buy the books at the beginning of school. But that was one thing that my mother and father saw to, that we had our books. I lost my father in my early school years, but even after his death, my mother saw that we had our books because she wanted us to get our lessons. And your supplies wasn't anything but a cedar pencil and a big cheap tablet. that was your supply.
Do you know of anybody who couldn't go to school because they couldn't afford it? Or was that?
No, anybody or everybody in my community that wanted to go to public school could go. They could go. And we wasn't fortunate enough to go. After our school just went through 8th grade. And of course, if you wanted to go through 12th grade, they would go to Hope to Yeager High. And we had one young man to go to Hope to Yeager High. He finished and went to college, and he taught school. and that was Professor C.A. Moore, passed here in Little Rock about maybe 3 years ago. And but everybody could go to the public school. Everybody did go. They wanted to go. They wanted to go. We had very few that would just I don't know if we had any that just completely just dropped out.
Really?
I'm not going just to make. There was some. Even myself, I was promoted to 8th grade. I didn't complete 8th grade because I was the oldest of 6 children. I had to kind of help make a living for the others, and I would maybe have to miss 2 days, sometimes 3 out of a week, and I lost interest. Which my mother hated for me to do, and so I didn't complete the 8th grade.
What was the school year like? I know you had said earlier about how the farming would interrupt with the school year. How would you go to school during the year?
We had what we call 6-month term school. We would go 4 months, possibly 4.5 in the fall. We'll start maybe in October, like after cotton was all gathered, about the middle of October at the most. And then we'd go until maybe about 15th of March. And then we had to stop to start getting ready for the crop for the next year. Me and the boys had to plow and break the ground. And of course, I was a boy and a man too in my family. That I had somewhere to do. I'd have to get what we call sprouts. Cut sprouts or something like that ahead of the plow. And so then we had 2 months in the summer. And it's almost too hot to stay going to school.
So, but you did have school?
We did have 2 months during the summer. We would go to school.
Okay.
That's mostly July, and a lot of part of June was July, and after the middle of August, just before time start picking cotton.
Okay. Do you have any idea how the black schools were different from white schools? You have any idea? No, you couldn't go to one, but
no, and then we didn't go to one. Now, I don't know. We all studied the same books. We all had the same books. I mean, because we had just from one store, and you just bought books just like by school and everything. But I don't know how much better back then during those days their school was than ours. Their school was in what they call a little town, and ours was 3 miles away. We had to walk to school, and of course some of them walked too. But anyway, some of them had parents that had teams and wagons, and they would carry that.
Right.
But mostly the terms were the same.
Okay. How in the classroom? You got one room there. You got 8 grades. Now, how did the teacher divide it up where she wouldn't go crazy?
Our teachers handled possibly I know in a time when they have at least 60 students. And she could handle 60 students in one room better than I've been told that one teacher could handle 23 nowadays. Because the children were obedient, much more so. We didn't have any that just so right and all, just couldn't do a thing with them. If the bell tapped for you to be quiet, you were quiet. And then we didn't have but maybe 3 or 4, the second instance, that was 8th grade, 5 or 6, it was 7th grade, and the 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders would help the teachers with the lower grades.
Would they help teach them also?
Yes, they help them most every day. So, okay. And if you disobeyed, why the rule was you stand in the corner on 1 foot, with your face in the corner.
Oh, really?
And you wasn't supposed to let that foot down. If you caught with that foot down, well, you had another 5 minutes or so added to your punishment. And what am I trying to say? The rod was not spared.
Okay.
The rod was not spared back in those days. But now you spare the rod. And I mean, you didn't get too old for someone, too big enough for some of them teachers to take care of you. We had one teacher there, she had her strap on the end of a stick, she called it Dr. Black. And we had some tough boys there, had some tough ones that just thought, well, they do what they want to. She let them know they had to abide by her rules. And I've seen her stand and just one lick right after another. 40 and 42 licks on one person on the floor. But she didn't have any trouble with any of those students. And those ladies handled those boys good. Better than they have, I mean, what they call that big boys, 15 and 16 years old. Then you do a 10 and 11-year-old nowadays. Sure do.
Let's see. Would the students be all in one group? All of the students in that, maybe those 60 students, would they all be in one, right in the middle of the classroom? Would you have them in different areas?
The smaller ones would sit up near front. And the first grade and second grade, they'd be seated like that, up near front. And the ones that were old enough to know right from wrong and to help with some of the others would sit farther back. Sit farther back.
What was the name of the school, Lamar?
The first school I attended was Walnut Grove School. The second school was Evergreen School. That was the one where I had to walk so far to school, 3 miles. Walnut Grove School was just about a half a mile from school.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad.
How would they teach reading, for instance? That's one of the things.
Well, we just have our reading books. We just had a subject of, I don't remember what grade it was now, but we might remember. That's my first of reading the story of Moses and Joseph and his brothers, and it just had a whole long story about that.
In a book or in the Bible?
In a book. And we just studied that lesson, and we'd read a certain portion of it. We had what we call head and foot of the class at that time. One at the head would read a paragraph or so far, and the next one read on down. Everybody read.
Foot was the back of the classroom?
The foot was the back of the class.
Okay.
And then spelling, they're spelling the same way. You stand in a long row, spelling. Sometimes we go to the board and have writing, spelling on the board. But you stand there spelling, call your word and you spell. That if you was head of the class and you missed the word, and I was number 4, then I spelled the word. If everybody between you and I missed it and I spelled it, then you had to come and we'd have to change places.
Oh, okay.
We had to change places.
Okay, we were talking about how the grades were divided.
Yeah, well, the small grades sitting near the front. We had the long wooden benches at first, and then later we got single desk, or double desk rather, to a desk. Yeah, we got the desk.
What was the classroom like? Did the teacher have like, the only thing I could think of is like butcher paper maybe across with the alphabets on or anything?
No, we had blackboard.
We
had a blackboard. Had a blackboard all the way across one end of the classroom. The school room was built longer than it was wide. We had 2 rows of seats, of course. And then we had a stage, and we'd go up on the stage.
Stage?
That stage, and the blackboards on the stage.
What was the stage for? Did you use the school building for anything else that
no,
might need?
No, for anything else. We'd have programs on Fridays.
Oh, okay,
like okay. It's kind of the teacher's, her desk and everything sat on the stage.
Okay.
That gave her a little uplift, and she could see all over the classroom.
Okay. Do you remember anything about maybe a superintendent of schools or somebody that governed the schools?
We had county superintendent. I ought to know his name, and I know it. I can't call his name right now. And he lived in Hope, and he would come out every so often and visit and lecture to the school. We had school directors there in the little town of Ozan.
Would the school directors know what were they in charge of?
That's the school that hired a teacher and paid the teachers.
Okay.
And if they had any problems with any of the students that was disobedient at one time, they had to expel or disband a young man from school. And school directors came out and told that he wasn't supposed to come back on the school ground at no time. We had a young lady, single teacher, and she was a young woman, and she couldn't handle the big boy.
Yeah.
That's the only time I ever remember the directors coming out. And our county nurse was Miss Cotton. I remember her name real, real well. And I wish I could remember this superintendent's name from Hope. I guess he was superintendent. Yes, I know he was.
For the county?
For the county, yes. County superintendent. I don't remember his name right now.
Do you have any idea how much teachers were paid?
$60 per month.
Really?
$60 per month was the minimum. I don't know if any of them ever got any above that whole time that I was in school. $60 a month. That's $60 a month. They didn't have cars at that time. Not a teacher that I had a car to drive to and from school. I guess maybe more times did, because she came from Washington 6 miles away. She might have drove away a buggy then. And some of them rode horseback, and some had buggies.
How was the ages of the students different from they were now? I was talking to Mr. Morrison, went over and saw him.
Oh, did you?
And he was about to go eat dinner and was having problems with his voice, so I didn't talk to him too long. But he was saying when he was in 10th grade, he was 20 years old.
Really? Yeah.
So I was wondering how was that? Was that a difference there in the ages of the students?
No, they all began school. You began school at age 6, or nearly 6 at least. It's like my birthday came in November. I started began school in October, and my birthday was in November. And you could go as long as you wanted to. As long as you wanted to. If you had the time and could afford to go and study in between your work jobs and things, and you go to school. Because we had some there that was men inside, and one or two young ladies that were grown, you say. But they were still going to school.
You say grown, how old you mean?
17, 18 years old.
Okay.
17, 18 years old. That's what you call grown nowadays. Because in my day, 17, 18 wasn't grown. If you was at home, you still at home. You wasn't grown.
Okay. Was Ozan mostly black or white, or about 50-50, or do you remember about?
Majority black. Majority black, because that's a little farming community, farming area.
Okay. Let's see. Do you remember much about the books? Some of the math books, or the
Silverbird arithmetic. Silverbird arithmetic is the only arithmetic I can remember studying. It was as thick as what Cesar Roebuck catalog used to be. I don't think Cesar Roebuck's catalogs are as thick now as they used to be. And it was good, basic arithmetic. It carried everything. I didn't complete one. That's another good book I wish I still had. Silverbird arithmetic.
What were the reading books like? Do you remember that book that my mother has? That Ben and Alice book? Were yours anything like that?
Well, my first book was what's called Baby Ray Primer.
Baby
Ray Primer. Yes, this was Baby Ray, and that's Ben and Alice. And see, that was how many years after my day?
Right, it was a long time. Copyright was like 35.
Right. Yeah. Well, mine was Baby Ray. Baby Ray had a pet. What his pet was named, what his pet was a dog, what he did with the dog, all this and that. I remember that was the primer. I really don't remember what the first grade books were like right now.
Primer was before the first grade?
Yes, primer was, that's what we call it. Primer was before the first grade.
First grade started what age? 7?
6. 6. We went to school. We didn't have kindergarten or anything.
Okay, so you had primer before you got in the first grade?
Yes, I had primer and then first grade.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So what age did you start primer?
When your first day of school, 6 years old. When you went to school, that's your primer.
Okay.
You went through the primer that term, and the next term you was first grade.
Oh, okay. And by that time you were 7.
So, that's right.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I understand that. Okay. Let's see. I think that's about it. You got anything else you think that's just?
Did you talk about the school year?
Anything else you think that I may have left out that I didn't?
Well, there's just a lot of difference in children going to school nowadays than it was when I went to school. We had a well that we drew water from and drank. We had one bucket, and we'd fill that bucket and bring it in and set it in the classroom. Everybody drank from that one bucket from the same dipper. Very few had their own individual water cups. My parents believed in you having your own cup, but there was so many that didn't. And if the well went dry and water was low before school was out in the summer or before school opened in the fall, there was a big farm, a big pond on the farm just over the fence from the school. And there was nothing wrong. We just thought we were just happy and healthy as could be. Go over and get us some water out of that pond. Sometimes we on one side drinking water and the cow on the other side empty. We thought nothing about it. And we knew of no one having any serious disease or anything at that time that was beyond Dr. Will Robbins carrying his little pill bag and two little pills. One is white and one is red. He gave you the same pill for everything.
Okay. Fix it.
And our time was we had to be at school on time, and when school dismissed, we had to go. That's what the teachers always express. You go straight home, and we always did that. We never had any serious problems. You know, we had some that would fight along the way. Mostly boys and girls would fight, but never nothing serious like they have now. No one ever got seriously hurt, cut, anything of that type.
How long was the school day? Did you go
from 8 to 4?
8 to 4.
8 to 4. Yes,
quite a long. How long did you have for lunch?
1 hour for lunch.
Okay, that's where it came in.
2. Oh, is that what you mean?
No, I was just saying. That seemed like a long time from 8 to 4.
8 to 4. We'd get there at 8, and we had a 30-minute recess between 8 and 12, and a 30-minute recess between 1 and 4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's about it, Grandma.
Is it?
Okay.
Well,
I thank you.
It's been helpful.
Definitely.
Well,
definitely. One of the wheels is moving. This is Miss. Will you state your name, please?
Lou Annie Williams.
Lou Annie.
Do you want to know what I was when I was working up there? Lou Annie. I was doing it King.
Okay.
When I worked in one.
Where did you work? Where were you teaching at the time?
It was down there.
Arkansas? And what county is that in? Do you remember?
Yeah. It's more or less on the border of Pulaski and Saline.
Okay, so it wasn't too
part of the school really was in Saline, and part of it was because the line ran up.
Oh, really? Right through the school?
Right.
So
that's what it was.
What years did you teach?
I went now those not the years I taught now. What's the year? 55. 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 63. That's 9 years.
In the one-room schoolhouse? Okay. What were the approximate ages of the students that you were teaching at the time?
Well, they were from like 6 years old, and
what was?
Look, see, first 3 years I taught them first through the 8th grade. Then after then, they moved to 7th and 8th grade. After then, they moved to 7th and 8th grade.
Oh, okay. So then you taught just 1st through 6th after that. Okay. So were the ages kind of corresponding to what they do now? Was an 8th grader mostly a 13-year-old? Okay. I wanted to know basically how things were taught back then. How would you teach a math lesson back then? Would you?
Well, a lot of the grades I just had. See, the whole school, let me put it like this, whole school contained about 28 students. And I would always make a math assignment. And then the next day, I would always go to the board and put so many of the problems they had worked on the board, and I would pick up the papers and bring the rest of them home and grade them.
Oh, okay. What were some of the other courses that were taught besides like math? Spelling and
geography, language, science, reading, and geography, and oh yeah, don't forget spelling.
Uh-huh.
Geography and several of the language classes, I would combine them.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe like 3 grades at a time.
Uh-huh.
Because in that
Oh, okay.
See, sometimes I didn't have but 1 student in a class.
Oh, really? Yeah, so I guess
And then
that's...
sometimes you have 5 in one class, and maybe, well, 1 or 2 years I didn't have nobody in a grade.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Then sometimes it'd be just 2 in a grade, and then sometimes, 3, you know, didn't have a whole lot of students.
From what areas did the students come from? Were they
Right around there.
right in there?
Everybody walked to school.
Okay.
Everybody walked to school. It was out there close to, you know what, old sanatorium used to be out Alexander?
No,
Baptist Church out
I...
there.
Uh-huh.
So the school was right across the hill there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And well, when recess time came, you know, we always have our, you know, recess period, things like that. And one of the ladies in the neighborhood fixed my dinner, and one of the children would I pick it up and everything.
Oh, okay, so the children would walk?
Oh,
Did
yes, I walked.
Uh-huh.
To school.
Would they walk back home for lunch? Or would they... This woman... Uh-huh.
Few of them were back home. Because it was just right close around there in the little town there, the little town. And then there was some few who lived kind of down, you've been out already down the road, I mean, out on the highway going towards Saline.
I think so.
Well, they have a big jacuzzi plant out there.
Okay.
And 1 or 2 of those children live way off back down on Vine Ridge Road. And the district paid me to go back and pick them up.
Oh, really?
Because it wasn't but 3 of them. And see, it was too far for them to walk. And well, I had been doing it a long time for the superintendent to learn about it. And then after, I guess, had 1 or 2 more to come in, then they wanted
to pay you.
So, I thought I was in trouble when he first told me. He ordered over, I've been canning, I told him, yeah. He said, well, we're going to stop paying, you know, for canning, because I go out and buy every month.
How was your superintendent? Was the superintendent of schools sort of like it is now, just the...
Well, no. Let me put it like this, and then you know what to do. And see, during the time I first started working in the district, the office was in the 4th floor in the courthouse. And they had 2 or 3 little rooms up there. Then as the district grew larger, then they moved out down on Victor Street. After then, they moved over on, it was really right close to Bishop Street. I think that street was named Wolf. They stayed over there for a while. Then after the district moved way out on Dixon Road.
So were you part of the Little Rock School District, or
you?
What school district? What was the name of the school district?
Pulaski County Special.
Oh, okay.
So no, I never was a part of.
I understand. I just wasn't sure what you.
No. See, when those children, when they first went out there, they would come into Dunbar.
Right.
And for integration, they had to go all the way down to J.C. Cook and all that. Then when integration, you know, when they closed Central down those years, well, those children couldn't even go to the high school we had out there. Like Mableville and all that. They had to come on through, and the ones that in the 9th grade, thing like that, they stopped off at Dunbar. And then, but Horace Mann was closed.
Right.
And they had to go on down to J.C. Cook.
Right. My uncle was caught in that and had to.
Who was your uncle?
His name was Joe Cobb. And he went to Horace Mann, and then they closed school and he had to go, I forget where he went. He was one of the ones that was caught in the closing of the schools.
Well, what school was he automatically supposed to go to?
Horace Mann.
Oh, yeah, they closed Horace Mann.
Right.
See, those children were supposed to go to Horace Mann, and like you said, after they closed, they had to go on down to J.C. Cook. That was a tiny school.
How were you educated? And
I went to school, and which school I went to.
Really? Can you tell me something about that?
Well, my uncle was my teacher, my first teacher.
Oh, okay.
And
how common were male teachers back then? How common were male teachers back then? Did you have?
Oh,
were there?
As far as I know, well, I guess they could have been about to speak a minute earlier.
Oh, really?
And so there was a one-room school right across in front of the church. And we would walk about 4 or 5 miles every morning to school. And in the summertime, it wasn't too bad on us. And my son, I guess that's since did you hear it?
No, I didn't.
And so it must have been about 1925 or along there. My grandmother died, and my uncle came to school that morning. He said, I'm going to have to go back home because my mother died this morning. And that was the only car anywhere around.
Oh, really?
In the neighborhood. And so then another teacher. There was a big old room. And then they had this big bench, like one of these big long church benches across there. And then later, what I mean by later, Concordia had part of them, and Octavia had the other part. And boy, you did do right in her room. I remember I would get fighting with a girl every day. The girl that would put us to fighting, and she'd whip us. I go back to the next day. I didn't know about it. They put us to fighting, and she'd whip us. And girl, one day she got hold of me with them checker pen switches. I didn't fight no more. Girl, I didn't fight no more.
What years did you attend your school? Your one-room schoolhouse.
Well, see, I was born 1918. 1919, 1920. 1921, 1922, 1923. So I must start around 1924, 25, because you remember I mentioned
right.
I remember that's when my grandmother died. And see, I might have started a little bit, early. 1923.
I'd like to know a little bit more about that school, if you don't mind. If you, how were you arranged in your classrooms? Would you have all the students from one class sit together and like that?
Best I can remember. We like the low grades, Concordia taught them, and the upper grades, Octavia taught them, and then sometimes the older students would help them.
Oh, really? So you had 2 teachers, plus sometimes the older students would help.
And see, during that time, they didn't go by no age, how long you went to school. You just continue to go to school and go to school and go to school. Look like until you got married.
Oh, really?
They didn't have no, it was another thing like this. you might stay in a grade more than 2 years. Because see, you go to school like this time of year, when it's raining and that, you didn't go to school. Because it was too far to walk. It was too far to walk. And then if it snowed, well, see, they had nothing but wood fires there.
Right.
To walk that far. I know I walked every 3 or 4 miles to school.
Really?
Then after my grandmother died, then Mama and them sent us to another school called the Williams School. And we went to school there.
Was that a private school?
Oh no.
It was public school?
It was, anyway, we had to go across what we call our field. And in the meantime, it would go down a little bit closer. But it would, used to be kind of the neighborhood you live in, that's the that's the school you went to.
How big was that school?
Well, it had 2 teachers during that time. It had already started with 2 teachers. So more people lived in that neighborhood. In the country, it used to be thick neighborhood, just plenty, people, you know. And, then I went to school there for about 2 years. Then they built another school called Williams School. I taught the school at that school. So,
can I help you get something?
Look and see. I'm looking for some papers. I don't know what just pull some of that stuff out of there.
Okay.
Just put it there. I think it's somewhere. Move this
Where did you go to school when you were in your one-room schoolhouse in that early? Oh, okay.
This when I was principal school.
Okay.
This might be. Take that out. Oh, I do have that. And there's some more in it.
That's interesting.
Let me see if I can go in here and get my glasses. Child, I've been so sick and everything.
I understand. Yeah.
I think we just, like children do wrong in my, when I teach in school, you can look at that while I go try to get my glasses.
Okay.
I
make it?
Yeah, it's really, I'll tell you what's happening there. Right down there. It's so I can hardly put weight on it.
Really?
And it started at like 2 days ago. I had a boy named William Earl, I believe that was his name. And years ago, I don't think you all have it in there, cut these horse heads off of a blue notebook. I don't know where you ever seen it. Just like you had that composition book there. Well, it was a horse head down there. You cut them off and save so many, then you could send them in and get some prizes.
Oh, okay.
So, the fire hat, no, it wasn't a fire. Yes, I guess it was a fire because that was the reason I left the school to go down there, down to the central office, like I said when we stayed in the courthouse. And that they had to send somebody out there to see about the stove and everything. So, we got gas in there, so it must have been that stuff. So anyway, one of these little girls had a lot of horse heads. And one of the big boys had done stole her horse head. So when we got back, nobody knew who had her horse head. So I received, I said, everybody had to tell me, I was Miss Candy. Miss Candy, good Lord in heaven, no, I didn't have no horse head. It went all the way around to everybody. Miss Candy, good Lord in heaven, no, I didn't get her horse head. Got on around to one big old boy. Miss Candy, good Lord in heaven, no, I got her.
I thought I was going to get away with it saying it like that, maybe.
Then he give him up. After then, I had a whole lot of respect for him. A lot of respect for him. And I would use that still after I called here, begging him a lot of times, you know. And if I used those, they more or less would come up with the truth. See, I had a little scheme that I would always use to discipline my children that maybe most people, you know, just didn't use. But I tell you, a lot of that came to me after I be teaching how to handle, you know. A lot of it came to me
from experience and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What would handle with some children, you just couldn't handle with, you know, all the children. So it was one of those things. And now I remember once or twice some realtors came out there and they were trying to sell me insurance. And I told, afterward, I said, now let you see what I'm doing out here in this one-room school. And he stayed, and the man ended up giving 2 kids out there 50 cents. They worked math so good, you know, and it was, you know, quite, you know, interesting for him to see how they could, you know, really work.
Right. Where did you go to school? Your first year that you said that you went in the one-room schoolhouse. Do you remember where were you?
Shiloh, out there close to Luster.
What county is that in? Do you remember?
Washita County.
Washita County. Okay.